Welcome back to the Airstream Carport build, or as I would like to call it, the airport. Can we call it the airport?
We can call it the airport,
okay.
Yeah. In case you don't remember, we are embarking on the largest, most complicated, most expensivest project we've ever done on the Tiny Shiny Homestead.
Expensivest?
Expensivest. What is it?
This is a permanent metal truss building that will house our Tiny Shiny home, which is our renovated Airstream that we live in full time before we build our house.
If you didn't see the introduction, planning, and design video that sort of lays out this whole project, make sure you go and watch that here and get caught up because we're jumping right in to the concrete pad.
Hey babe, can we jump?
If you'll remember, we're going with a Miracle Truss prefabricated building kit that we're going to put together ourselves. But since we're creating a permanent resting place for our Tiny Shiny home, plus an outdoor living space, we felt that a concrete pad would be the best foundation for us.
While we have poured a few little small cement pads ourselves, we felt that this was way out of our capabilities, so we hired Willcox Rock Sand, which is a local company here, and we are so glad we did.
As you'll see in this video, it takes an enormous amount of skill, knowledge, and most importantly, equipment to do this the right way, especially if you're going to attach a very large open frame metal building to it.
Or like a windsow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we get 100-mile-an-hour winds out here in the high desert during the monsoons.
Yeah.
So
we need this thing beefed up.
Yeah.
Beefed up? Should I say beefed up?
Beefed up is fine.
Okay. Willcox Rock Sand has been our go-to for all things sand, gravel, clay, since we moved out here.
All the materials come from them. They're great.
I can't even tell you how many times we have loaded the back of our pickup truck with all things gravel and ruined some of our truck.
A little bit, yeah. Every time we go in, they're like, are you sure you want us to dump all that in the bed of your truck? And
That's
we're
all
like,
we got.
That's what we got, guys. So, yeah, so $30 truck bed loads is one thing. Thousands of dollars concrete pad pours are another.
Yeah.
This is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Thankfully, those professionally engineered drawings from Miracle Truss made the quoting and planning process very easy, even showing them exactly where to set the anchor bolts for truss columns to attach to.
This is where we run into many problems of summer 2022. First, it was cement rations, like for big companies.
What, like cement rat? Like, what does that even mean?
I don't know. Something was going on with the main place where they get the material to make the concrete, and they weren't going to get enough. They could only do small jobs. People were waiting months to get work done. Yeah,
so we went into this because we had talked to them probably in the spring, and they're like, yeah, just let us know. We'll come out in a couple of weeks. And then when we called them in the early summer, they're like, hey, so we don't know how long it'll be because we can only do so many jobs at a time, and we're already backed up. And we're like, well, dang it. Okay.
Yeah. So we ended up waiting probably about a month and a half by the time we got the quote and by the time they had the cement available to come out and do it.
Yeah, and we got lucky because we had a relatively small job, so they were able to squeeze it in, but I know a lot of larger jobs really got pushed back. No matter how much planning and research we are doing for this project, we are still getting tripped up by the ill supply chain in 2022 and the monsoons. It's very frustrating.
With that being said, things are finally starting to get moving.
Things are happening?
Things are happening. Step number 1.
So the area needs to be leveled, right?
Yeah.
And then they're going to bring in additional AB mix and compact it down so that this whole thing doesn't end up sinking over time in our very sandy desert soil.
They did say that that is a common thing, and they prefer to build up high.
So we said, sounds good to us.
Let's do it. 2, they come back the next day to start digging.
They brought a ditch witch.
Yeah.
Which I'd never seen in action.
Why do we not have one of those?
I really want one.
Yes.
It was amazing. But what's cool is they dug that trench, or the footer, right, around the edge. But then they came back by hand and they really cleaned it out. And they made all the edges really nice. And they even beefed up the areas right around where the anchor bolts were going to go for the metal columns.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
High five, guys. High five.
Wait, should we give them a high five?
High five.
Watching them set the forms, I learned a lot that our forms are not accurate.
Well, they have professional grade ones, which makes a big
metal
difference.
forms. They braced it like every 2 feet. They were very precision work.
They had lines strung, and every 2 feet they were adjusting it. I was impressed.
Yeah, I was too.
It was good. Also, they laid the rebar grid in there, right? And one thing they did that I didn't think about is around the corners of the edges. I never thought about bending the rebar into like a single piece, which makes a ton of sense. It's way more stable.
Very common practice.
But I don't have a rebar bender.
No.
So again, equipment. It's all about the equipment.
Ready for step number 3.
And here's where we ran into more problems.
So much rain. Guys.
So much rain.
It rained. They were supposed to come back the next day and
it was a Thursday.
Yeah.
And they were gonna come back Friday. Like they had come Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they were gonna be done.
Yep.
And it rained all weekend.
4 inches.
4 inches in the desert is a lot. And it's so much we ended up making a video about it, which you can go watch if you want. It was ridiculous. So much water.
Yeah. But that kind of pushed back a whole another week because not only was the ditch full of water, the footer full of water, our soil was completely saturated. There's no way heavy trucks could come in here without getting stuck.
Also, the roads were trashed.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't even think they could have gotten here, let alone made it up into the yard and not messed everything up and gotten stuck for days.
So we waited an entire week, but the day finally arrived. They're here.
Yep.
The biggest concern is, will they get stuck here?
Yeah.
They made it over the culvert.
It's pretty muddy.
Yeah. I'm really nervous about them getting stuck in the yard, but they said it should work, so we'll see.
Oof, jeez. step number 4.
It was really cool to see how this crew worked.
Man.
First of all, we didn't know it was going to take 2 truckloads. But they staggered the truckloads, so just as that first one was finishing, that second truck pulled in, and everything was like smooth and like very efficient.
Very efficient. Yeah, they were all working together. Everybody had their own job, and made me realize even more
that we couldn't have done it.
we couldn't have. We did not have enough people.
No.
Yeah.
I think probably my favorite part of watching this entire process was the finishing work. They are so detail-oriented.
Yeah.
They had, what would you call it, like a jig for the anchor bolts so that they were perfectly set.
Spaced and set. Yeah.
And then they had their stamp that they would put on the cement pad because it looked so good.
All the seaming, all that finishing work.
The brush work, textured.
Was nice. It was nice. It looked really
nice
good.
Nice touch, guys. End of the day, the crew was able to remove the forms and clean everything up, and they headed out. Like, it was done in a day.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
But it wasn't quite finished.
Right. Evidently, concrete pads have to cure for quite a while.
We knew that.
I knew it had to cure for a while, but I didn't know that it took like a full 21 days to put any substantial weight on it.
Right. So our job after they left was to keep that whole surface area misted down, and we put a tarp on top of it to sort of hold that moisture in. And we waited 10 days before we sort of uncovered it and moved to the next phase.
We've been talking over something casual, and you got that wonder, supernatural. Breathe in, hold it out, come around, and I know I'ma keep you in view. I've been waiting forever for somebody like you. I'm falling underwater, no more light, can't get enough. Maybe we're too young to keep this right, don't change it up. We don't need to take this too far, we're feeling it right where we are. You got me underwater, I can't get enough.
I know we said that we are control freaks, which is true, but finding a company like Willcox Rock Sand, which we can trust to do a job right, was a huge bonus because we just kind of got to sit back and not have to do that work ourselves.
Yeah.
It was nice.
It was real nice. So, big shout out to Willcox Rock Sand, not because they're sponsoring or we're affiliated with them in any way. We just like them, and they did a really great job.
Sometimes when I go to Willcox, I just go over to Willcox Rock Sand and I want to talk to Kelly and Anna because they're so nice.
They're very nice. Yeah.
Sometimes I bring them treats.
You're giving away all your secrets here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so what is happening next in this crazy project?
Well, we have our permit We have the concrete pad.
Yes.
So next is waiting on the materials to be delivered for our Miracle Truss building.
Yes.
And more delays.
More delays, more supply chain problems, and even weirder equipment rental problems.
So weird. I would have never expected it to be so hard to find equipment to rent.
No, and again, like we said, we planned this out to a T.
Yep.
We called months ahead. We're like, hey, how much does it cost to rent this and this, and when is it available? And they're like, yeah, just call us when you're ready. We called when we were ready. And they're like, oh, we won't have one, and we don't know when we'll get it back.
Big problems.
It's a big problem. So we're going to have to get a little creative.
But things are still going to happen, and we cannot wait to share this journey with you.
We'll see you soon.
Whoa.